4.2, using congruent statements. So this lesson will be a little bit more fun because we're actually going to use some of the stuff we learned in the last one to solve some problems. So before we get to that though, just a couple things that I want to review with you. And really it's just with our notation. So remember from unit 1, if you see something like this, if you see angle A, okay, that means that you are actually talking about the physical angle. You would read that as angle A, and you could draw a picture of it. Here's angle A. Okay, that wasn't a very good A. Make that a little better. All right, if you see this, you would read that the measure of angle A. Measure of angle A. Okay, so you would answer with a number. So you might say it's like 45 degrees. Okay, it's going to be a number with a degree sign. So that's the difference. Angle A is talking about the physical diagram. Measure of angle A is talking about a number. Okay, when you're answering problems today, if you see an angle A, a regular angle A, and you want to say that it's the same as something else, you're going to use a congruent sign. Because it's a picture, you use a congruent sign. With the measure of angle A, if you want to say it's equal to something or the same as something, you're going to use an equal sign. Numbers are equal to numbers. Pictures are congruent to pictures. That's the difference there, okay? Same thing is sort of true for something like this. If you said like AB with the little segment bar over it, you would read that, since we're dealing with triangles, you would read that as side AB. Side AB. And I could draw you a picture of a side with endpoints AB, okay? If you see AB without the line on top, so just this, you would read that as the length of side AB. Okay, so a similar idea, if you want to say that side AB is the same as another side, maybe from a different triangle, you would use the congruent sign, where if you saw just AB, you would use an equal sign, because the answer there is a number. All right, so hopefully that will help with the rest of this lesson. All right, so we're going to jump right into an example, and this is the only example from this lesson, so definitely take your time with this one. But what it says is triangle CRT is congruent to triangle MYK, and then take a second to draw the red triangle on the left and the blue triangle on the right. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask some questions about which angles are congruent, what sides are congruent, maybe what the length of one of the sides are. But my hint to you is before you even start these problems, fill in any missing information that you know. So what I mean by that is we have angle R. We have the measure of angle R. It's 33 degrees. So since R is the middle letter and Y is the middle letter, they have to have the same measures. So I'm going to go over to the blue triangle on the right, and I'm going to fill 33 degrees in for angle Y, because R and Y have to have the same measures, okay? Then I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I know what angle M is. Angle M is 37 degrees. It's the first letter, and C is the first letter. So the measure of M and the measure of C have to be the same. So I'm going to go back to the red one and fill 37 degrees in at angle C. Okay, now T and K are congruent. We don't know what they are yet, but we can do that whole 180 minus 33 minus 37 thing. I'm going to do that. Show my work here. So if all three angles should add to 180, take away the 33 we've already used, take away the 37 that we've used. And let's see, what's that going to be? 33 and 37 is 70. And 180 minus 70 would be 110. So that means that angle T is 110 degrees and angle K is also 110 degrees. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of come up with some things here, and we're gonna think about it and fill it in. So if I said, okay, what is congruent to angle R? Go with angle R. What is congruent to angle R? Well, there's a couple different ways you could do it. You could look at the congruency statement to do that, or you could look at the actual triangle. I think it's easiest to just do it right from the congruency statement. So since R is in the middle and y is in the middle, then angle R is congruent to angle y. Okay? If I said, what is the measure of angle R? Okay, that's different. We're not going to answer with angle y this time. Since we're looking for the measure, we're going to use an equal sign, and we're actually going to write down the measure of angle R. The measure of angle R is 33 degrees. Okay. If I asked for what is congruent to side RT? Okay, what is congruent to side RT? Well, I think again, the easiest way to do that is probably just to look at the congruency statement. RT is the last two letters, YK is the last two letters. So side RT is congruent to side YK. Okay, and we'll answer it with an actual segment. So side RT is congruent to the actual side of YK. Okay, that's different than saying what is the length of RT. Okay, the length of RT is a number. It's 5. It's given to us right in the diagram here. Okay, so hopefully you see the difference there. If you see an M in front of the angle, we're talking about a measure. If you don't see a line on top of a side, we're talking about an actual length, an actual side length. Okay, let's see, I'm going to do one more side length. So I'm going to do, I want to know what CR is. I want to know what the length of CR is. So if we look at our diagram, it's not on there yet. So CR is right there. We don't know what that is, so it's a little bit confusing, but if we look over at triangle, the blue one, the MYK, we can see that this side right here, MY, is labeled with a 7. So here's MY, it's the first two letters, and then it looks like CR are also the first two letters. So therefore, this side has to be 7. Okay, and I think it's a good idea, and I didn't do it in this example, but I think it's a good idea to actually fill in everything that you know first, all those missing sides first, so that it's a little bit easier for you when it's time to answer these questions. So with that in mind, I would probably take this 6. So 6 is MK. Notice how MK are the first and last letters. CT are the first and last. So I'm going to put that 6 down here. Now we have all of our sides. This guy here would have to be 5. That will just make answering those questions a little bit easier. Okay, so one last thing just to wrap this up. What if I wanted to rearrange the order of the congruency statement? What if I said instead of triangle CRT, I want to do triangle RTC? Okay, can we rewrite that? Absolutely. Okay, all you have to do is just make sure that you put your letters in the right order for the second triangle. So notice how R was the second letter and Y is the second letter. So we would want to write Y first. And then T is the third letter, K is the third letter. And then C is the first letter, and M is the first letter. So there are lots of different ways to write congruency statements. Just make sure that your letters all line up the same way that they lined up originally. Okay, so in summary, or my tip to you, use your congruence statement to find all the sides and angles first. I did a good job of that with the example for the angles. I didn't do it with the sides, but I think it's helpful to do it with the sides and the angles first, then complete all of the statements. So on your practice for this one, you're just going to be given some congruent triangles, and you're just going to answer some questions relating the first triangle to the second triangle.